Hey guys, welcome back to Reddit Talks Clash, episode 9. This is a podcast run by the moderators of r/Clash Clans. Currently today, there's just two of us, me, Sam, and Congressman Cool Rick. Rick, do you want to introduce yourself?
The way you said that sounded like a list. You're like, it's me and Sam and Cool Rick.
Yeah, well, I can't speak today. Okay, half two in the morning.
Man, we really need like an intro and some cool music.
Yeah, if anyone can get us a sick intro, and I'm talking like pretty cool, not just like some non-copyright sound off YouTube, we possibly have something to give away. So there you go. There is a contest. We possibly have some sort of Clash Clans statue that we could give away to anyone who can make us some sick intro music. There you go, everyone. That is your challenge. And that is actually completely sincere. We're not joking. We will give someone a statue if you can make us whatchamadoodle an intro music. Rick has already departed, his usual crash. But yeah, that's going out to everyone. If you can make us some intro music, we will give you a statue. How's that? I think it's a pretty good deal.
Like clockwork, I always get that one crash right at the start.
I was about to say, I knew it was coming.
Definitely. We can make it a contest.
We can make that happen.
Yeah, create us an outro and intro, and if we end up using it, I have a code for a statue, a little collectible. Cool. I think the case itself is pretty big. They're like 9 inches tall, and the statue itself is a little smaller to fit in there. But they're pretty sweet. If you watch any live streamers, and if you look in the background, a bunch of them have that kind of stuff up on their shelves. And Supercell's kind enough to give us those codes to give away a little bit. So yeah, there's that. Our second little giveaway contest, I guess.
Yeah, let's go. Well, so firstly on our actual business, which isn't giving away shit for intros, let's talk about Supercell's recent post, the kind of first news we've had in a few weeks, or the first news we kind of had since Clan Capital came out, and that was our plans, or not our plans, but Supercell's plans for Clash Clans. Shall I just read through it for those who maybe haven't seen it?
I think a broad overview is probably more appropriate.
Okay, yeah, I was sure it is quite long. In a sec, I will also put this in the comments. We don't have Spencer with us today, who is usually our man in the comments, so we may be a bit lacking down there, but we will try our best. So yeah, recently, I'll put this link in soon. As I said, Clash Clans made a forums post about kind of, the state of the game and their plans for it. So I'll just go through each kind of section. They kind of split it up per village and so their overall message. So for the Clan Capital, they said, so basically, obviously, it's all about teams and clans working together, battling together. They mentioned how it's important that every clan member can play and feel valued. So obviously, kind of contradicting where, say, you're a Town 9 and a Town 14 clan, you're not very valued, whereas in Clan Capital, everyone's equal. Choosing a mix of home village, builder base, and new troops to give something fresh. And they also said, this is the more important part, that they want to settle into a regular pattern of bringing new districts and gameplay elements to the capital. I think that was kind of obvious to anyone who'd seen the map. There's clearly a lot of space for expansion, but that's the first time Supercell's clearly set in stone that they have lots of plans. So yeah, that's good. Now moving on to Home Village. So they kind of address how the home village has become extremely diverse, as in you have people who just play casually, and then you have high competitive play. So how they, for the future, need to make sure all their updates, take into account both all the different types of players, and how their biggest challenge essentially is complexity. Because obviously there are lots of people who say games should be harder because it's a strategy game, but then there are people who, more casual, who just don't have the time to dedicate to the game. So it's all about balancing that. And they once again reaffirmed their 18-month schedule for new town halls. So it's kind of nothing we haven't heard before, but, nice little refresh. And then for Builder Base, honestly, possibly the most interesting thing because they've acknowledged it exists for the first time in the world. So they did acknowledge that Builder Base has issues. As they, to quote them, they said it veered into feeling like a less deep version of the home base, and build-based format can often feel very random, some do badly and win, some do perfectly and lose. And they said there are many things they're not happy about. So they clearly recognize there is space for improvement, which is good. And the big thing, we believe the builder base needs a radical overhaul to live up to its initial promises and goals. So there we go. They basically, in a nutshell, confirm that they are planning something big for builder base. They haven't said a time frame or what on earth that could involve, but it's on their to-do list. So honestly, for me, that's the biggest takeaway of the whole thing, that Builder Base isn't completely dead to them. Because when did Builder Hall 9 come out? Like years ago? It would be a fair
so long.
It would be a fair assumption for anyone to think that they're just giving up on it, apart from some quality of life updates. But clearly not. So I don't know what you have to say about that, Rick.
So, typical Supercell fashion, it's a lot of words, but it doesn't really say a lot.
Yeah.
And that was the general vibe I got from seeing all the comments and people talking about it. But there are a couple big takeaways here that are significant. So, a regular pattern of adding clan capital content is good news. That's big. And obviously there was going to be more content because, like you said, the map has plenty of space, and you can scroll down the mountain and see that there's room for 14 or so more districts.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But them confirming that there will be a regular pattern of added clan capital content is really nice too. One of my biggest fears seeing the whole clan capital rollout was that, is it going to be another builder base? Is it going to be abandoned, as builder base has been for so long? And it seems something they're going to be proactive to try and prevent. Puts us expecting Town Hall 15 close to, I want to say, October. September is going to be the World Championships. So
they might start teasing it after then.
Yeah, that's a real great spot to start to begin the sneak peeks, or to start teasing it, and to follow up with an October release. I think would be really easy, obvious timing. So
yeah, and also weirdly, it might actually benefit esports more and the Clash of Worlds more than it does the updates, because sneak peeks get a lot of traction as it is. I have friends that don't play Clash often, but when Town Hall 14 came out, or they almost never play Clash, it was that game they played years ago, they still saw the Town Hall 14 sneak peek. So I think seeing the sneak peeks is the issue, but it could possibly bring more people to Worlds if they see this first sneak peek and they're like, oh, what's this happening in Worlds? Let's check that out. So I wonder if it'll actually have more of an effect for promoting Clash esports than actually Town Hall 15.
Yeah, it will be a real nice send-off to Town Hall 14, because as soon as 15 releases, obviously Town Hall 14 becomes irrelevant as far as the competitive scene goes. I don't know. It makes a lot of sense. It's right after the anniversary. We still don't know what the whole 6 weeks of Clash stuff is. That's coming up soon, actually. That's gonna be real soon. And then builder base, man. I've been wanting to talk about this for so long, because they had mentioned to us privately way back at the last World Championships that hey, a big overhaul of builder base is coming.
So this has been in the works, or at least in their mind for a little bit of time.
And I don't have any more details than that, because all they told us at the time was like, hey, we're not abandoning Builder Hall, and the way forward for Builder Hall is going to be a huge, I forget the exact phrasing they said.
Huge overhaul?
Yeah, like, I don't know, something along those lines, where the current phrasing in the announcement was radical overhaul, was it?
Right? Yeah, radical overhaul. Yeah, I've just checked.
So that is, and I don't know what that's going to entail. They haven't said anything, and even if they did, I couldn't say it. But honestly, that's what it's needed for a while, not just Builder Hall 10.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's always kind of weird, because whenever you see people talking about more Builder Hall content, it's always Builder Hall 10. because
Yeah,
that's what, like adding another level of stuff is just what we've known for 10 years.
I was gonna say when the entire premise of the build base is flawed, adding more content isn't the way you solve it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like what are your thoughts on why Builder Hall has been, I don't know if failure is the right word,
A
but
flop, maybe?
definitely not a success. I mean, like
Yeah.
what would you say the key issues are with Builder Base?
So I think honestly, I think Supercell did nail them quite well. Firstly, is it's a dumbed down version to Home Village, that is extremely luck based. For example, I have played matches, I'm sure you have, where you 0-starred and somehow won, but then you get a high percent 2-star and you lose, and that's an issue in itself because you're not, in a multiplayer match in Home Village, you just get what you get, and then that's that. But then when you're in Builder Base, fighting another player is an interesting take, but then it just creates a lot of randomness. And then also, it's just a skill expression. Like, yeah, you can spam stuff in Home Village, but even then, there needs to be a bit of a degree of thought into it. Whereas Builder Base, your troops are in squads, you get very limited customizability, you get no spells, you get one hero, which is basically useless. It's not exactly something you can have a lot of fun with. There's not really much you can play around with. There are a few set armies, and that's it. I also think just the whole nature of the 3 attacks per day, you can't, as in to get loot, you can't grind it
It's
out if
frustrating.
you want to spend money. If you want to, for example, if I want to get a good bit of farming in on my home village, I can pop a trading pot, I can queue up some sneaky goblins, I can breeze through it. But then build a base, you get 3 attacks for loot per day, and that's it. And Clash is, when a game is about progression, limiting progression so much
Yeah,
is just counterintuitive.
it is. It's annoying because even if you enjoy Builder Base, and there are those weird people out there who prefer Builder Base to the
Yeah,
main
no,
village,
the top
playing,
players have like
can,
Rush 12-12s.
yeah,
It's
like
mad.
continuing to, unless you're doing the like elite, 5,000, 6,000, whatever the top Builder Hall trophy
Yeah.
level is, there's no reason to continue playing. It almost feels like you're not being punished, but it feels like you're being punished
Yeah,
because
especially if
you're
you got
not getting loot.
if you've got auto, like why do you play Builder Base apart from clan games? Like that is just the realistic fact. I can't imagine how few people would play Builder Base if Otto didn't exist. It's already low, but can you imagine if there wasn't that home village motivation?
Yeah,
It
I
would
don't
just be dead.
like a lot of the problems with Builder Base, I think, are present in the clan capital. But
Yes.
I think they seem a lot more willing to address them. And in a way, I think a lot of what happens with the clan capital in the next 6 months or so is gonna influence what they do with Builder Base eventually. I think we'll definitely see Town Hall 15 before we see the Builder Hall
Oh yeah,
revamp. So they have time to use Clan Capital as a learning experience to see what people enjoy, what people don't enjoy, and then retroactively apply that stuff to the Builder Base overhaul. I don't know if that's the plan, but
yeah,
there's a lot of overlap in the whole. It's it's a simplified version of the game. There's still some strategy, but it still feels really spammy. There's not that big of a difference in a very skilled attacker doing stuff, dropping troops strategically, planning out stuff with clanmates, versus a guy who's just going to get super drags as soon as we all unlock that next district. And you can just drop super drags and they kick ass. It
yeah.
the main problem with super drags forever. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what a radical overhaul entails, and just judging from the way Supercell's acted in the past, they calling something a radical overhaul doesn't necessarily mean it's
Yeah.
going to be a radical overhaul. it could just be, to them a radical overhaul could be now you get 4 attacks a day,
Yeah.
or or who knows? It could be something really lame, and it could still be a flop. And I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic, which is kind of how I view
With
everything they
most,
do
I'm
lately.
honestly with that. With most updates these days, I think there is kind of two big differences between I mean, obviously the obvious differences, but the kind of two distinguishing things between Clan Capital and Builder Base is that firstly, Builder Base is just a dumb home village. At least Clan Capital has something else. It's like I mean, it's bigger bases. It's actually attacking with clan members to some degree. Obviously, it's still mostly the same game,
There,
but it's not a complete clone of the home village, just dumbed
it
down.
Clan Capital feels like it almost gets it.
Yeah,
So the whole having spells last 2 attacks is brilliant. It's awesome. It's cool because
it's
there's
different.
just yeah, there's just not much value in doing it, especially because at least right now, because we all have jumps and we all have heals, and in a lightning spell that's completely pointless. So the lightning spell is stupid. There's no
Yeah,
reason for it
also
to
the
exist.
lightning spell damage is completely wrong in
Yeah.
game,
So
which really threw me off.
like I seriously don't know anyone who uses the lightning spell other than like, oh, I'll just damage a random building. So,
Yeah, like if you've got space in
but
your thing, just
I know once you unlock rages and once you unlock freezes, you get a little more. You'll have a little more strategic uses for them.
yeah.
And if you want to start coordinating with a clanmate, that is a brilliant concept, and I think it's been poorly executed, at least in the early stages of the capital. So because you're gonna use your heal for your own troops, and they're gonna get through it because everything's low level right now. So every time I drop a heal, I use that heal to full advantage, and the next guy, they're pointless because everything just goes straight through it.
Yeah,
But
I do. I think it's there. Like you said, they're just nearly there, but they're not quite there. Like they've got everything there to be a success. They just need to add a little bit more. For example, at the moment, you don't need to coordinate with your clanmates. Like, if you do, maybe you'll get, a base destroyed with one attack less and get a few more people a bonus attack, or just, get a few more extra districts across the whole trade weekend. But ultimately, there isn't much difference between someone who probably maybe plans their clanmates or just, attacks, leaves everyone else their own devices. So, as cool as it is attacking with other people, you're not really attacking with other people.
what it needs is we need to be able to see the difference between a clan that works together and can push extra far and a clan that doesn't.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like I don't know what it's hard to judge how our clan is doing because I don't know what other clans are doing. I don't know what they're achieving. I don't see other than some random Reddit posts. I don't know what kind of raid medals they're getting or what kind of capital gold they're getting. I can look and see. Okay, cool. Most of the tops of clans are getting around 10,000 capital gold each.
Yeah.
Even that's not a great metric though. Too, I've only done one attack so far, and it was for like 160 capital gold because it was a 98%,
Right, clean up.
done,
Yeah.
yeah, done district. So I knocked it out real fast, and now I have my extra hit. So, but I don't know. It's almost there, but being almost there and having these interesting concepts is what makes me optimistic about the future of Clan Capital.
Yeah, and it's just the fact that they've already committed to updating it because I think that was the big issue they fell in with Builder Base is that it just didn't get constant tweaks after it was released. I mean, there have been some good quality of life changes for it. Don't get me wrong. For example, removing troop training time, that was just a positive. That was good. But in terms of how the fundamentals of it actually work, there has been nothing really, and hopefully they don't fall into that trap again. They hear criticism, they hear how to improve, and they do it, and they, in a few months, we see some substantial changes, because then that shows they've learned from their mistake of just hoping everyone adapts to their system they've created instead of actually actively trying to improve it. So I am hopeful, and I do hope their whole plan isn't just to throw more bases at us, because that isn't realistically a solution if there is actual flaws in the whole gameplay, which is what has happened with Build a Base.
What I do know of what's coming is I don't know anything that's coming. I'll say that right now, but I have seen I have seen chats with at least one developer and some other community managers where they throw out a lot of options. They say, "Hey, maybe we'll go this direction. Maybe we'll do this. We're thinking about adding that. Blah blah blah." And I don't know. That's got to be so annoying to hear on anyone else's end. I know, but
Yeah.
I know. Like I don't know. I am optimistic, and I keep saying that, but I don't know. It's
conclusion optimism.
Yeah, I think it's going to go good places. They seem like they're really focusing on, this is going to be part of the future of Clash of Clans. Not the only part, but a big part of it. So, yeah, you want to shift gears?
I was thinking, do you want to quickly do some questions, and then we'll move on to our next thing? Because we don't have Spencer compiling questions for us. If we get through a few we've already had, and then we can go on to our next thing.
I do see. Yeah, that's what I was gonna go into. There's a comment there from Neighborhood Loose, who may or may not still be listening, but he's saying, "Why more censorship? I feel if it's not wanted, it won't be upvoted." And I assume that you are talking about some arguments I was getting into earlier today on the sub about rolling more clan capital stuff into Rule 11 or Rule 7. I should know that.
Awesome.
So if anyone isn't a super Redditor, Rule 7 is the common in-game statistics, which I've always hated the phrasing of that. But over the last nearly 2 years, I haven't been able to think of a better way to phrase it.
Yeah, because statistics make you think it has to be a number, something.
Yeah, there was a post. It's probably still on our front page about. The title was something like Clan Capital introduced a new level of frustration. And it was just a picture of a 99% attack. And yeah, it is frustrating that, hey, you're going to have to waste one of your attacks to get 100 capital gold and knock it out. And hopefully your clan is aware enough to coordinate to have someone attack that to get their extra attack. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter that you're only getting 100 capital gold. Someone has to do it, and it's all going to get funneled back into the clan anyway.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter that any individual is going to have more or less capital gold, unless you're hopping and want to spend it elsewhere. But then I also don't care about your opinion if that's what you're doing. But anyway, so
I've back to Rule 7.
I have mentioned on a couple posts now and stickied my comment that, hey, like we're probably going to roll clan capital stuff, pictures of how many raid medals you got, how much capital gold you have, all this other stuff. Just roll that into Rule 7 and start removing it. And my comments have been upvoted, and I haven't seen a whole lot of people upset about it. But also,
angry mobs outside your house yet?
Yeah, there are. Wait, what?
I said you haven't had angry mobs outside your house yet.
Oh no! You confused me because I've been talking about my house nonstop lately. Yeah, I just moved. Everyone in my house is awesome slash terrible. Like, I don't know what this girl did for the last 3 years she lived here, but it certainly wasn't fixing stuff. And anyway, so I don't know, like, it seems like I'm getting a lot of comments about people are upset and saying stuff like, hey, if people are upvoting it, why can't it, if it's being upvoted, obviously it's popular, why can't it just be allowed and stay? And that's not a dumb question at all. So I mean, you like, what do you think about the clan capital stuff like that?
My argument to it is, like, it's cool for now because it's new, right? And say someone wants to post about their raid medals, like you and I and most people are probably actually right now genuinely curious how many raid medals people got, because it's not like Supercell made it at all clear how they'd be allocating them. So at the moment, that is interesting. But then if every week people are like multiple people are posting their raid medals, does everyone want to see that when there's no conversation to really be held about them apart from nice job? What do you do? It's because it's not
It's so weird too.
it's not an achievement to get the raid medals. That's the thing. Every clan is going to get them, and it's like if it's say a game feedback post about I don't know quantity of medals or how they could be reworked, that's fine. But if it's just hey, our clan got this medals, that post doesn't add much, to say the least. And it's like we have common in-game statistic rules for Builder Base. We have it for Home Village because maybe occasionally they get upvotes and that's great, but then it just spam. It's just spam to the subreddit, and it's the main thing is it's common. The point is posts are meant to be somewhat unique. I mean, obviously that's not entirely true, but a post should have a proper substance to it. And if it's just look at my raid medals that everyone else is also seeing when they open their game, it definitely weakens the argument for keeping those posts up. But yeah,
and there's this weird phenomenon. I'm sure you've seen it too, where like every now and then, like, hey, there's only so many of us, and we each only have so much bandwidth to dedicate to Clash of Clans and moderating
I
the
certainly
subreddit.
don't have much these days.
It's a volunteer job, it's like sometimes I call it a job, and I have to like smack myself. Like, it's not a job. It's not a job. It's something I do.
Have to do this.
allegedly for fun. I do enjoy it, but also, like sometimes stuff gets through and things that break rules don't get removed for, 3, 4, 8 hours, overnight, because a lot of us are Americans. So, like sometimes I'll see stuff, when I wake up and I'm eating breakfast, playing on my computer, and I'll remove it and feel like it's been up for 10 hours and lots of people loved it. Why is it being removed now? Like, well, because, like I would have removed it 10 hours ago if I would have seen it. I try and leave stuff that has a good conversation going.
Yeah.
And every now and then that means, hey, like some rule breaking stuff is going to get approved and left up, and then people see that and say, hey, like why is this one left up? It breaks a rule. Why? Obviously people love it. Obviously people enjoy it. They're upvoting it. They have a conversation, and you're like, okay, but you haven't seen the 20 other posts of the exact same thing that were at -5 downvotes that I removed in the last day.
I guess that is
it's like a lottery sometimes where you don't know what's gonna take off, but 95% of the time those kinds of posts are hated and downvoted, and you won't see them anyway, so we just clear them out.
Yeah, and you gotta remember that I'm sure you've had this argument too. You remove someone's post for, say, common game statistics.
Like, oh my god, I know exactly what you're gonna say.
Yeah, and they reply and go, "Well, I haven't seen this post on the sub." There is a reason for that. It's because you and a million other people post it, and I get it. Like actually, it's really annoying because it's hard to argue against to a degree because
it's not hard at all. Like, and I'm a bit of a dick because it's so stupid. But the post I see it all the time about is builder based draws.
So, oh yeah, God.
So
yeah.
For anyone listening, like for any individual having a total draw on builder base, because it's stars percentage time is the way the tiebreakers go. So if you draw on all, if you tie on all three of those, it's a draw, and it's fairly rare. It doesn't happen to any one person often. But we have close to 450,000 subscribers to or people who are subscribed to the subreddit. Clash of Clans has hundreds of millions of players. It happens all the time, and every single person that it happens to feels like posting it on Reddit, and those posts get removed. I remove five or six a day because they're always downvoted, and it always just starts fights because people just say no one cares, and then it's not good content for Reddit. People will open a chat with me or DM me and just say like this is not a common thing. Like I've never seen it before. Yeah. I say like I just removed your post. I bet if you think real hard for just a minute, you'll realize why you don't see it is because we remove them all the time.
Yeah. Like it's not a hard concept to get. I get why people, rules are long, and at the end of the day, I think I'd be a bit elitist if I said everyone who goes on Reddit and even just looks a subreddit should read all the rules, because I don't do that.
So you and I have been mods for the exact same amount of time. We got modded in the same group on the same day. Can you name all the rules?
Shall I try?
Yeah, do it.
Okay, I'm not looking. So rule 7 is be civil.
No, just start at 1, you goober. Well, why would you start at 7?
I started at 1.
I have a lot of whiskey. Why are you starting at 7? Start at 1.
I said rule 1. But okay.
You said 7. I'm gonna listen to this recording and I'm gonna.
Okay, you do that.
You said 7. You said 7.
You do that. I did not. But anyway,
rule 1. If I'm wrong, no one else will ever hear this because I do the editing.
Right. Rule 1 is be civil. Rule 2 is like hacks, cheating, private servers, modding. Rule 3 is spam. Rule 4 is this should be obvious.
Yeah, no.
Rule 4 is BST.
This is a big
one. Rule 4 is buy sell trade. Rule 5 is unrelated local content. Rule 6 is improperly flared posts. Rule 7 is common in game statistics. Rule 8 is recruiting. Rule 9 is it's either external content rules or credit to artists. I'm going to go with credit to artists. Rule 10 then is external content rules. Rule 11 is humor weekends. Rule 12 is simple questions. And I think we're done.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever added simple questions as a physical rule, or it just might be sitting in the mod tools as 12.
No, it is on there. I've now just checked.
Okay, cool. That's definitely better than I would have done.
Yeah.
Which is funny too, because I've definitely rewritten half of them by this point.
So to think an average user knows all of them and cares is a stretch, but then at the same time, I do think if I'm removing your post, maybe do check why.
No, so
we can tell you.
I don't, it's huge. We have an FAQ, we have the sidebar, we have all the rules listed out. There's a lot of info there, but it's a lot of info, and most people are going to browse 80% or more of our traffic is on mobile devices where it's not immediately visible. No. So I don't begrudge anyone who hasn't read the rules, but it does annoy me when people will send us mod mails or reply and say, why was this post removed? And it's dude, I literally told you, and you didn't bother reading it. I have it's a nice little automated system. It's 2 clicks. It's remove post, hit this checkbox Y, send it, done. And then people will reply immediately and say, why was this post removed? And read the comment that you replied to, and it explains it. It explains it at length. You must have seen that it's a paragraph or 2 paragraphs in some cases, and just said, no, I'm not reading that. I'm just going to ask.
What can you do at the end of the day?
I know. Every now and then I have to kind of recenter myself and say hey, this is something you enjoy, and this is a community that you care about, and it's the only reason it's the only reason you have these stupid comments. Have these stupid conversations. So just
I was about to say we wouldn't be here if people didn't do stupid things. So for what it's worth,
yeah.
So, keep doing it.
I know. Yeah, I know. Like, I guess, like, to circle back, if anyone wants to see why, like, letting up votes and down votes decide is a terrible idea, open up. There's a website called the Wayback Machine. Just, you can Google it. Google Wayback Machine. Enter in Clash of Clans. I'm drunk. And just go back to like 2017, any random day. Just, you enter date and just go, and just read the sub on a day like that, and then you will understand why we have humor rules. Because, this sub was terrible for the longest time, and I'm still surprised all the time that I was allowed to be a mod, just because of how openly critical I was of just everything that the moderators at the time were doing. I got into fights with Zag, with Forced, with I got into a big fight with Lionheart, with Frank. That wasn't about subreddit stuff. That was about, he had a terrible idea. But
When
I don't
was
know. Like,
this?
it was he had made a post. This is before I was a mod. He had made a post
Right.
about we should be allowed to buy gold pass. We should be allowed to buy gold pass with gems. And I said, first of all, like, that's stupid. Like,
There
there's
goes
no,
all the Supercell's revenue.
yeah, like, like, hey, I'm not a shill for Supercell, and I don't come here to protect their bottom line, but you do have to realize that when you make a suggestion like that, they're a business first and foremost, and they exist to make money. So when you say, like, we are going to give people a currency and we're going to allow them to spend that currency instead of real money back to us to buy our main product, like, that's never going to happen.
To be fair,
So,
it's what Fortnite did for a bit.
yeah, I mean, I
But
don't play Fortnite because I'm not 12 years old, so I don't know. I'll just have to take your word for it. Here's what I'll say is, if you just take a screenshot of your game and say, like, here's what my clan did, cool, that is getting removed. But if you want to have a conversation about something specific regarding those numbers, do that, and that is okay. That is always okay. The
yeah,
subreddit
100%.
the subreddit is a forum first and foremost. So we exist to facilitate conversations among players. So have that conversation, but you need to do the legwork first to start the conversation. If you say, here's how much gold I have, or here's some loot I got, that's BS, and we're gonna pull it. But if you say, hey, I've done some analysis and it feels like our raid medals are a little low for the amount of effort we put in, blah blah blah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, put that just a little bit of extra, just a little bit of extra effort into your post, and it will. Oh my! I would love that. It will be allowed. I will, if it's a good conversation starter, we will pin it, and it will be visible. Like, when we pin a post, mods can see the amount of traffic each post gets. When we pin something, if it's pinned for 24 hours, which is not that long, 50,000 people will see it. And, obviously obviously not that many people will engage with it, but it is seen by a lot of people. We have 50 to 75,000 unique visitors every single day. So start those good conversations because we desperately need them.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I completely agree with that.
as the subreddit grows, it's cool that we're always growing, and we're seeing, and we're growing faster than ever still. But as we get bigger, the place gets a lot more terrible. Honestly, be him, like, on Reddit. He is the perfect content creating Redditor. He
Yeah.
will post amazingly useful stuff, and it's curated and edited to be good for Reddit. And there's, I don't know, like, we had Trample Damage on, I think it was our third episode, and he also just did an interview on Clash Tips, which is another awesome podcast that has returned. It was one long interview, and they made it into like 3 whole episodes. So go listen to that if you haven't. Like, if you're a content creator or you want to be a content creator, we want you to post your content here. We don't want you to use us as advertising, but post it here and be a member of the community.
I think
Is
that
what we ask. Is
the
just
best way to do well as a content creator on Reddit, which is what Trample Damage does so effectively, is make your content Reddit friendly. Genuinely, nobody, and I say this, I don't say this as any criticism, or I'm not trying to be harsh, but nobody on Reddit, if they see a YouTube link, even just a YouTube link, they probably won't press on it. If they see a YouTube link that's 20 minutes long, they definitely won't press on it. But if they see a Reddit video, one that they can still play in their app, because you got to remember, I think about 80%, if not more, of our users are on their phone. So you see a video they can play in their app, then they might play it. If it's 2 minutes long, even better. So make your content Reddit friendly, because that will just increase your engagement so much. And that doesn't mean you can't have your YouTube videos. Put a link to it in the comments, or TikTok, or whatever you post on. Put that in the comments. But your initial video, make it so people want to press on it. That is the trick. And that could just be taking your original video and just cutting it down a little bit. Or say you're highlighting an attack strategy on a multiple different bases, only show one base and narrate it through. Just make it Reddit friendly, because no one looks at YouTube from Reddit. Yeah.
Anyway, but I guess modding, it's about time we add new mods too, don't you think?
Yeah, we had mod applications back in November last year. Or maybe even late October.
Earlier. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Close enough.
But, it's been over half a year since then. We've had people leave. Obviously, we had Zag leave recently. Balance, he left. We're down a few. Some of us are less active recently as well. For example, I am not. If you could look at the mod log, you would see in the past few weeks my actions have dropped, and that is just due to real life stuff. That will change in the next month or so. But that's just the way it is. And we often have periods of time where the sub is a little bit on the unmoderated side. So yeah, new people wouldn't hurt.
Let's commit to doing another round of mod applications in June. I think it sounds good.
Yeah, when's June? Next month, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I still have a ton of unpacking to do. I'm in my new podcast studio.
Oh my
god! Which is just my basement bar surrounded by boxes.
I can hear glasses tinkering occasionally.
And I'm surprised you don't hear my child stomping around upstairs. Everything is hardwood floors in this house.
Oh.
Which is terrible. And they are poorly installed hardwood floors. And it's weird because it's not like a flip house, but it's like this person spent 3 years for flip house quality. Anyway, so let's commit to doing a round of mod apps in June. I think that was kind of near the plan anyway. We haven't really committed to it amongst us. Anyway,
if anyone in here is interested in being a mod, and I don't know why you are, but if you are, that is amazing. You're a start. But if you want any indication of what we're kind of looking for, so our ideal, this is our ideal person is someone who is active, who checks the mod queue often, who is active on Discord. That's important. Who's actually communicating and also has ideas, because we are far from perfect, and I guarantee you there is stuff about the sub, and we know there is stuff about the sub that could be better, right? And we know we sometimes recognize issues, but sometimes it does take an outsider's perspective to notice issues, because naturally we think what we're doing is right, but that's probably not, and it's definitely not always the case. So if you come in with ideas and say, right, this is what could be fixed about the sub, we want to hear that. Obviously, we don't want you coming in and going, right, this is what has to change, I want to do it, no communication. That's not going to roll. But if you come in looking to have the discussion and also looking to help make the change, then that is perfect. Also, if you're European, that helps because if you're
just like
yeah.
anywhere that's not in American time zone, I think we have daytime America is covered pretty well. And I'm not saying don't apply if you're American. That's not like a
Yeah,
primary
no.
consideration, but I'll say you can probably have a little bit of a weaker application if you are going to be online while most of us are sleeping. Don't look at me as like the standard for activity at all, even though I've been a lot less active lately. Like, don't look at me, don't look at Forrest, don't look at Gingerbread here. If even if you can only log in every couple days, that's not ideal. But if you are gonna be willing, if you are willing to engage in the conversation about what the subreddit should be and what direction we should take the subreddit, I will take engagement in that aspect of moderation tenfold over being a guy who just only can log in and like click approve on 20 posts, a day. It's so much more valuable to be a part of the conversation about the direction that the sub is going in than it is just to clear the mod queue. Because like the mod queue, it gets really deep at times. Like there's some mornings when I wake up and it's 60 or 70 items deep, and but like 60 of those are just blanket approves.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't really it doesn't take a lot of time. Like I just want more people who have ideas that they want to try out. Like our question thread stuff, that was an idea that we pushed. The humor weekends was an idea that we had to fight for, and all the stuff that I think has been successful, and even some of the stuff that wasn't successful, like the personal accomplishment rule changes. You just come in, have strong opinions, be able to back them up, and yeah, I don't know. Like I want to have those. I want to have those conversations, and I want to have those arguments.
Yeah, I also think the key thing is also be willing to help. It's great to have ideas, but also being keen to implement them is great because really, like, if you just have a way you think the sub can be improved but aren't interested in being a mod, send us a mod mail and we will genuinely consider it. Obviously, you probably, like, not intentionally, but you will have a larger voice if you are a moderator. Like, that goes without saying. But if you do have an idea and just don't want to become a mod, also tell us because we will genuinely discuss it. And you never know, you might see it on the sub in a month. Hotsea's finally got around to doing something about it.
Yeah, like I don't care what you believe about the sub in the direction the sub should go. I care that you believe something. And oh man, being a mod has changed my perspective on so much stuff about the sub.
Out of interest, what has it changed your perspective on?
Just I don't know, like there's so many things that get removed, and especially the things that are removed automatically that you don't ever see. Like there's a lot of like it. It's weird to call it work because it's all automated.
Yeah.
But like if Automod died, this sub, oh my god, this sub would be disgusting. We'd have 200,000 people unsubscribe overnight.
Yeah, all the recruitment would just seep through.
Oh my god, like recruitment posts. So like it was kind of a dirty trick where it was a long time. It was a long time ago where there's a recruiting flare that if you want to make a post about recruiting, like we have a whole separate sub. We have a rule against recruiting because otherwise the sub would just be 50% recruiting posts all the time. So there's a whole separate sub, and there's a rule that we don't allow recruiting posts. You need to go to the recruiting sub. So we made a flare. So if you select the recruiting flare, your post is automatically removed. Your post is automatically removed just to save us the time of removing it later, because what people used to do is just they would say, oh, like I'm recruiting, I don't see that as an option, I'm going to choose other. So, and it kind of feels like a dirty trick, but oh man, it works.
It does work very well
because and it's not just about saving us time, it's about making sure that people see that there is that there is a resource available to them for recruitment on Reddit.
It's just not here.
But anyway, hey, do you want to do something different and random?
Well, we have been going for an hour now.
Yeah,
And,
we can edit this down.
Yeah, I know. I'm more just concerned about my tiredness.
Well, I am not concerned at all about your tiredness.
That's
just
good.
So 1 versus 1, it's a tie vote. So
oh shit.
Anyway, there's this one guy who has had his hand raised, and he's been here the entire time.
Who is it?
It's what is this _63. Do you want to let him talk?
Do we want to plunge? Because, like, I'm sure you're also aware of this, that we have 35 people watching, which is far lower than we usually get. I think we're going to need Frank, Mac, and Spencer to keep us afloat. Because without them, we just ramble about what we want to talk about, and possibly not necessarily what is the most interesting.
Anyway,
for everyone.
Well, anyway, I already invited him to speak, so we'll see if he joins. So,
Lovely.
What is this? What is this? He probably just put his phone down and left. Who else has raised their hand? No one whose name I recognize. Hey, somebody has a lot of karma. Let's see what they want to say. Let's just invite random people because I'm in a good mood. Somebody has joined.
All right, hey everybody! Thank you for having me.
You are our first ever random guest in like 4 months.
I think it was our first random guest ever, actually.
Yeah. You can thank Crown Royal and Glenn Fiddick.
Well, it's an honor. Crown Royale, I love that drink. So let's get this party going.
Yeah. Do you have anything to say to the world?
Yeah. So I'm playing Clan Capital now. I'm about the 3rd highest contributor. Do you think that there should be rewards for the clan's top contributors?
That is interesting.
No.
I haven't thought of that before.
My initial answer is no, because I don't know. Like we talked about it a little earlier, where we said everyone is gonna funnel all that clan capital gold back into the clan itself, and there's sometimes just low value hits need to be done. Like I said earlier, I needed to do an attack on a clan that was 98. It was a district that was 98% done, and it was worth 100 gold. Right. So if you add rewards to doing better,
it just decentralizes people to finish off those. By that standard,
hits. It's I don't know.
I guess let me narrow this down. So
okay,
what is it? Clan Wars gives you the ability to give additional clan medals, right, after each war to every top performer. So like something similar to that, just implemented in Clan Capital.
That's interesting. I would be in favor of that, just because as a clan leader, I like any kind of flexibility to reward clan members. I do like that, and that's the first time I've heard that as a suggestion. So that's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think the reason that works compared to just rewarding top contributors is that top contributors will almost always be Town Hall 14s, right? Because they're the people who can pump in capital gold, and while you definitely get pump in capital gold from the Forge, just to clarify, and while you definitely get more capital gold from raids, the stuff you do in the Forge will edge the lower town halls out, and realistically, the Town Hall 14s are not the ones that need to be rewarded or given anything extra. So that's kind of the main argument I can see against it. You're just rewarding the people who already. Rick, who have you invited? Okay, well,
all right.
Rick has dipped.
Thank you for taking my question, guys. I'm getting a little bit of stage fright.
It's fine,
but great show. I'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Take care.
Yeah, we can hear you. See your priorities.
Hello, thank you for having me up here.
No worries.
This is my first time being up on this. This is the first Reddit Talks Clash that I've been on. It's been cool to sit, but I do have a question for both of you guys. when Supercell does eventually make a builder base Town Hall level 10, what do you think they'll add, or do you have anything that you think they should add for builder base?
I
Fuck,
think it's
I don't know,
almost like
man.
impossible to predict Builder Hall 10 at the moment. Purely because I don't know if you heard us talking about earlier, but or if you've seen it already, but Supercell released that forum post about or blog post about how essentially they're planning a radical overhaul of Builder Base, and I really can't see them releasing Builder Hall 10 before they do that. And then what's in that radical overhaul is anyone's guess, right? So what they do for Builder Hall 10 is so up in the air. It's not predictable, in my
I don't know.
opinion.
I don't here I am about to say, like, I can't see them doing a radical overhaul without adding Builder Hall 10.
Oh yeah, no, it'll
Because
come with it. But I'm just...
there are so many of us. Like I mean, I have no idea what the statistics would say, but there are a ton of us who are just completely maxed out, walls included, who've just had nothing to do with Builder Base for 2+ years now. So I would say there has to be a Builder Hall 10 included along with that radical overhaul.
Yeah, wasn't saying it wouldn't come with that. I was just more saying it's impossible to predict what could be with Builder Hall 10, just because God knows what's in that radical overhaul. It could be anything.
One thing I would hope, though, is that they add new troops for Builder Hall.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
it's kind of inevitable there will be new troops. There will be a new signatory defense, probably. Yeah, there is kind of the obvious predictions, but as in, for anything like cool and quirky they might add, I cannot think.
No, so I think a lot of the Super Troop inspiration comes from Builder Base abilities. So when they get around to adding Builder Hall 10, which if they're going to do a radical overhaul, Builder Hall 10 is coming. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, that's totally obvious. So I would think it's going to be kind of cyclical, where they've changed the focus from random troop abilities on the Builder Base to add Super Troops later. I think anything they add on the Builder Base side is going to circle back from the Super Troop abilities. So, like, I would kind of expect, just knowing Supercell, I would really expect a Dragon-based troop on Builder Base more than anything to be added to Builder Hall 10.
I actually wouldn't be shocked to see Super Dragons, to be completely honest.
That's what I'm thinking too. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's a cool question. Thanks for hanging out for a full hour just to ask it.
Yeah, I found it cool that there's this whole like podcast around Clash of Clans, one of my favorite games. So I just thought it'd be cool to stop by for the thing. All right, thank you guys so much for letting me up here.
No worries. There are so many. There are a lot of really good Clash of Clans podcasts. The ones I recommend. So if you go to our sidebar, there's on the sidebar. I think it's the very bottom link in the helpful link section is a podcast index. So go there, click on it, and it will show you. There's probably 10 different Clash podcasts right now. Clashing in Traffic is one of my favorites, and Clash Tips is my other favorite. There's a ton. Married with Clash, Pineapple. Clash.
Right.
Yeah,
let's move on.
I don't even know. Yeah. Anyway,
right.
There's a whole list. Dude, Pineapple and Thorns has a really good intro. Every time they have a new episode, I have that like guitar riff stuck in my head for a couple weeks. It's really good. Anyway, yeah, we have a whole podcast network set up, and just click on the index setting to check it all out. Anyway, noob.
All right, yeah, I actually might have to go now because it is currently 20 to 4 in the morning, and I've always been awake for 24 hours, so I might depart.
This is actually a really good stopping point anyway. Thanks everyone for tuning in. You can catch us again in 2 weeks. That should be June 3rd in the evening. In the meantime, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify are the 3 big ones. And if you have any suggestions on things you want to talk about or guests you would like us to pursue to have on, go ahead and let us know. And in the meantime, keep on clashing. We'll see you in 2 weeks.